Elvis is still alive.
I don't know if somebody that was as famous as Elvis was.
Explain the sightings. Explain the Elvis sightings throughout before he was put in a mental institute.
Man, listen, with enough time and makeup, I could look like you. Okay? I could look like you with the right makeup and the right lighting at the right distance. They'd be like, damn, Mike Glazer was in the booty club throwing $50,000, man. That shit was crazy. And it was me the whole time.
Yes.
What's up, guys? I'm Tahir Moore.
And I am Mark Glazer, filling in for the recently deceased Mike Glazer.
And this is High in the Sky, the podcast where we get high and we ask we ask why.
We ask why.
And then we say allegedly.
And then we say allegedly so we don't get sued.
Yeah. And this episode is going to be full of capital allegedlys because a lot of this is speculation. None of it can really be proved, but it is something that just keeps coming up every year, just about. It's never died, actually, to be honest with you.
No, in fact, every celebrity we're going to talk about, I believe, has faked their death.
Everyone?
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, well, let's just jump into it. Today's topic, they never died. Hollywood's biggest death hoaxes. This is gonna be great.
As Mark Glazer, I would like to bring up one thing.
Please.
When Mike Glazer was born, when he had distinguishing features to make sure that nobody would steal him from his mother and father, one of the distinguishing features on his ID was a mole on right by his right ear.
Oh, wow.
And I went to go shave today as Mark Glazer. That mole's gone.
Yeah.
Can you see that mole anymore?
No. Maybe you shaved it off.
Can you shave off a mole? I'm being real right now. I used to have a mole.
You can.
Right
you can
here.
shave it off, or they also can fall off with time.
They fall off?
Moles can fall off, just like skin tags.
Truly?
Yes, they can.
Have you lost a freckle?
I haven't, but I gained all of these. When I was born, I was barefaced. I didn't have any freckles when I was born.
No kidding.
They came in when I was between 5 and 8. That's when I got the majority of these.
How do I know you're the real Tahir Moore?
You don't. You never will, baby boy.
Bum, bum, bum. Dang.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. So, listen, this episode is going to be riddled with conspiracy theories about certain celebrities and their death or their lack of death, or their fake death, rather. But we got some really juicy ones too. We got the normal ones that you would expect. I'm sure that you guys are already thinking of, like 2 or 3. They're probably here, but we also got some really crazy ones too.
Yeah.
Like the whole Avril Lavigne thing.
Well, I mean, that one is, it's timeless, but it's timely because she is, she's back. Yeah. Not that she ever left, respect to Avril, but the new Avril is the one that is current.
Yeah, which is not actually Avril, allegedly.
No, it's Melissa.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Right?
Yeah, that's what they say. So allegedly, Avril Lavigne, when she first came out, like most celebrities do, sometimes they'll have a look-alike so they can still go out and live a regular life, and then the look-alike takes the heat and engages with the paparazzi and photographers and things of that nature, while the actual celebrity is able to go to lunch and leave out the back door and have a black car waiting for them. You know, all the normal things that life invites to you. But evidently, the conspiracy theory floating around this one is that Avril Lavigne unfortunately passed away shortly after her first album came out, and her lookalike Melissa is who we actually know and have seen as Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, well, the record label doesn't want to lose all that money.
Well, I mean, why would they? She was a big skater boy, which was my jam by the goddamn way. Okay, I was skating at that time. I had me a little kick. Yeah, I did a little kick push. I was on the Vans Warped Tour, 2010. I was a tour manager for them, and I did the Tony Hawk Boom Boom Hug Jam tour.
No kidding. You could ollie a little.
I could do a little razzle dazzle. I don't want to blow my own horn, toot my own horn, if you will, but yeah, I was not good. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was good at pretending to be good.
Yeah,
like I would pull up, hop off of it real quick, and flip the board in my hand. I knew just enough of what to do to make people think I knew what I was doing.
I feel like that is the best way to go through life. All you need to know or do is a little bit of everything, and you seem like you're an expert in everything.
Yeah, except for if you're a doctor. I really want you to know what the you're talking about there. Like, especially if you talk about, we need to do a prostate exam. Hold on. Where are your plaques that are supposed to be on this wall?
I can show him how to do that on myself. If he's like, I don't know where to go, I got you. Dude, I wish normal people like myself could get a body double. I'd be using that thing nonstop.
Yeah.
I got in a fight with my girlfriend because Nutmeg Floops, my cat, is now spreading the territory around the house and starting to use Giles' litter box. So I haven't had to clean Nutmeg's litter box in weeks, but she is having to clean up double dookie from Giles and Nutmeg, and she was like, can you please help me? And that's when I should be like, tap, tap, Mark Glazer, come on in here. I don't want to handle this for me. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. And then tap me back in when it's time to watch Sopranos season 3.
Yeah, I wish I could tap my clone in when my wife wants to have talks.
Talks.
And it's not like I don't want to have the talks. It's just like, can you streamline this for me? Like, give me the Cliff Notes version. You go into detail on the things that she kind of like lingered on. But like, just give me the Cliff Notes version of it. Side note, not a great way to be, fellas. I've gotten into a lot of trouble, and we've had even longer conversations because I did that.
I don't know when to shut up.
Yeah.
Man, we'll be talking and we'll be like communicating beautifully. And then I'll be like, oh, I think this is buttoned up, but I don't know to shut up. And so I bring up something else. And then we go into another hour. Mistake. And next thing you know, like, I'm in trouble, but I don't know why. And she has a great point, and I'm not sure what I said, but I absolutely said it. And now we're like back where we started, but now I'm worse. Like, it's wild.
My wife would hate that I didn't ask questions. That's what her thing was. She was like, you never ask clarifying questions. I'm like, I'm a good inferrer. I've inferred my whole life to my detriment, like to my own detriment. I would have been so much better in a lot of situations had I asked questions, clarifying questions, transparency questions, boundary questions. But I was like, oh, you gave me 75%. I can figure it out the last 25%. Right. And I thought that I was being helpful by not boggling you down with 1,000 questions. But now I'm realizing in my big age of right now that I should have asked more questions. And that's what my wife would have liked.
I mean, that's a perfect segue into this episode. We got to ask more questions.
Yes. Like, why do people think that Avril Lavigne is not Avril Lavigne? Well, it's because of, a lot of things. First of all, they're saying that Melissa has tattoos that Avril Lavigne did not have, and that the tattoos are basically cries for help because the music industry is holding her hostage. Now, the crazy thing about this whole Avril Lavigne thing is that this whole rumor was started by a Brazilian blog, and they've admitted to it. And they did a whole retraction thing. They said that they were running the piece just to show how easy it is to get a conspiracy theory started. And that's crazy. That's really crazy to me.
The problem is once you open your mouth, you can't put your mouth back in. Right. Like, how do we know David Geffen didn't pay off this Brazilian journalist to be like, you have to retract that? Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no, once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't then put it in a bottle and call it something else.
Yeah. Most you can hope for is like blow some air in it so you can like fill it up and then squeeze it on the toothpaste so that the suction will pull it back in.
Anyway, let's get into the origin of celebrities faking their deaths. It starts with Rudolph Valentino. If you don't know who that is, suave, handsome man, a ladies' man, some would say. Also, others would say that he faked his death because he was trifling with too many women, possibly poisoned by an ex-girlfriend. The fact of the matter is he had a gut disease, died at 31. Damn. And so young. Yeah. So young. But because he was
so much he missed out on.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, there's so much quality. It's just a shame.
Yeah, so didn't even make it to the 33 club. Yeah. But when you are a superstar and you die that young, people are not going to have the ability to wrap their heads around it. Yeah. So immediately upon his death, everyone is like, "There's no way! I can't believe it! Yeah. How could he do this to me?" Making it about themselves. Of course. And then saying things like he must have faked his own.
He must have faked it
just so that fame would he would get a reprieve from fame. And so all of this kind of starts with Rudolph Valentino.
As soon as you said his name, I thought about like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer in a Valentino suit. like very suave. Because I was not familiar with Rudolph Valentino, but when you were describing him, I was like, oh man, he sounds like Rudolph with a suit, and he had his hair like combed to the side, but kind of swooped back too. Cigarette, but he didn't light it. It's for the look. I don't light it.
Yeah, in the hoof.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You got to keep it anatomically correct. So yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, and if we're talking about keeping it real, keeping it G, keeping it gangster, we can't go forward without talking about Tupac, one of the most influential, controversial, successful, impactful rappers of our generation. Influenced a whole nation to divide itself between two major cities, between two coasts, East Coast versus West Coast. I think Tupac went to No. He went to Tupac went to the Baltimore School of the Arts. But like a very, very great school for art. So like he's been in that life. Like he knew the right, and then was still with the Tupac was that deal.
Did he fake his death?
See, that's where you get me at. I don't know, right? I will say this.
Exciting.
Tupac was unfortunately murdered in 1996, leaving a Mike Tyson fight in Vegas, right? He was in a car with Suge Knight and I believe one other person, and a car rolled up and unleashed bullets, and he was killed. He's taken to the hospital. I think he died maybe like 6 days later. But I remember when Tupac died.
Oh, yeah?
All Eyes on Me was the first cassette tape that I bought. It was also the first double cassette I think that was out. I don't think anyone had done that before All Eyes on Me. I think he might have been the first, if not the first, definitely like in the first 5 artists that ever released like a double cassette like that. The first rapper I saved money to buy. I bought it multiple times. Every time my mom would find it, she would throw it away. Tupac was a visionary. He was the voice of the unheard. Like from Brenda's Got a Baby to Keep Your Head Up, Dear Mama. Like he was just so impactful. You know, he started with Digital Underground. He used to be a dancer. Then he got the verse. Then he got on I Get Around. Man, it was beautiful to see him coming up. I remember listening to Dear Mama with my mom one time when she was teaching at this one middle school. And the song came on because we listened to the radio. I was helping her collect papers or grade papers. And she was like, I like this young man. And I was like, this is the dude I bought the theme from. You kept throwing my tape away. And he was just like, he was one of those rappers where, you know, the younger generation and the older generation could find something in common with him. So when he died, I took it hard. I remember the announcement that when they made it, and he was the first rapper, first famous person that I cried about their death of. And it's crazy because like right, I think it was right after he died, Machiavelli came out, and that was his album, and he changed his name to Machiavelli, and it was believed to be a spin of Niccolo Machiavelli, who wrote about faking one's death to fool the enemies, and then
that's so crazy.
It is because it's
that's so crazy.
First of all, the timing is baffling.
Yeah.
Right? The fact that this album was, for the most part, done. He already had in his mind that he was going to change his name. Then this album drops after he dies, and it's like, wait, is he not dead?
Right.
And, you know, if he changed his name to this, does that mean he's faking his death to trick his enemies so he can get them later? Like, there were so many things floating around. And then it's like, how did he get hit and killed? He's in the car with 2 other people. They're fine.
Right.
You know, but a lot built up to that too. Like he had gotten a fight before he got in the car when they were leaving the
Tyson fight.
The Tyson fight on a casino floor. He got in a fight with some people. Then he get in the car and take off. And it was just a lot of speculation around that. Now here's the wildest one for me. Machiavelli. Some people allege that you can rearrange the letters and it reads, I'm alive, okay? Which is weird because I don't even think Tupac would ever put K on the end of his sentence or statement. Like, I'm alive, okay? Like, he just, I don't see him doing that.
Yeah.
Not Tupac Shakur.
No. I'm alive, MF.
That's more Tupac-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm alive, but I'm alive, okay? Like, I don't see him doing that. Some people still to this day believe that he's not dead and he's in hiding, one, because of the name change in the album.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that he faked his death because of the Illuminati, which he referenced in a lot of his albums.
Yeah, but he was against it, right? He
was against it, but he also, the name of Machiavelli, the 7-Day Theory, was called the Don Illuminati. Okay. So, like, even though he was against it, he still made a lot of references to it. Some people think it was because the fame was starting to get too much for him and he wanted a quieter life. Mind you, nothing about Tupac was quiet. He was his mother was a Black Panther. She went on a run for shooting a sheriff or a state trooper. She was walking with the Black Panthers. He was very vocal about her efforts and then also about like the efforts of the Black community and where we need to be and how we're viewed. So nothing about him was quiet. So I don't really subscribe to the like he wanted to get away from the quiet life.
Yeah.
Further in life, we found out that he was evidently talking about leaving Death Row Records because Death Row Records at the time was very toxic. It was very violent. You know,
Is that Suge?
That's Suge Knight.
Okay.
So we all heard the stories about, you know, Suge Knight hanging Vanilla Ice over the balcony. Vanilla Ice.
He ran over a man and then they said, yeah, you did. We see that. You're going to jail.
And he was like, I'm blind.
Yeah.
I was like, what the were you doing behind the wheel then? Suge Knight was a crazy guy. And at that time, he was running Death Row like the Wild Wild West. And, you know, it's also come out that supposedly Pac's finances were in order. Suge was doing the whole Cadillac Records thing. And like they asked about money. He gives them another car or gives them another house.
Which is crazy because that's like doing stand-up for weed, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, we don't have money to pay you to do an hour, but we can give you an ounce.
Yeah.
And then you can figure it out from there.
Well, you know what? I would rather take a house than an ounce. So it's not really the same as stand up for weed. It's kind of like stand up for like a hotel room for like 6 months.
Hey, man, we're at different levels. We're at different levels.
But it's so much so much speculation surrounding this death.
Yeah.
The untimeliness of it, the fact that he was the only one that was killed, the record dropping, the fact that he had admitted that he was thinking about leaving Death Row Records, the fact that his finances weren't in order, he didn't have control of his money, he didn't have access to his money. Suge Knight has even given statements over the years indicating that he thinks Tupac is still alive. He said he paid someone to, I think, cremate Pac, and then he never saw the guy again. So, you know, never did it. And also how fast the funeral happened.
Yeah.
The fact that it was a closed casket. Like anytime someone famous dies like this and it's a closed casket, you can almost guarantee that there's going to be a conspiracy theory tagged to it. Because like, why we can't see it? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Or if the ceremony happens too fast, like if a person dies on Monday and the funeral's on Wednesday, it's like, whoa, what the the rose? Did y'all even get an autopsy? So it's a lot of speculations around why he may be dead, where he is. Like, I don't know where Tupac would go where he wouldn't be known at that time too.
Tough call. Yeah. Well, I guess like I don't have an answer to that, but I do wonder like, so on the East Coast, what would this be? Like Ice Cube? Like, who's the East Coast?
No, Ice Cube's on the West Coast.
Ice Cube. So who's on the East Coast that we're battling with at this time?
That was Biggie.
That was Biggie at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they're both in Vegas?
No. So Biggie died a year later, 1990. Was it 97 or 98? I think it's 97 when he died. But so Biggie and Pac were beefing because Pac went to a studio session and he got shot. And I think Biggie and Puffy were in the same studio, in the same building, and they came down after the shooting, and Pac assumed that they had something to do with it.
Sure, of course.
There starts the East Coast, West Coast beef. They both drop beef songs or diss songs. Pac drops Hit 'Em Up, which is to this day still just one of the most damaging and rawest songs that anyone has ever heard.
Put it up there with Kendrick.
Nothing is beating Hit 'Em Up.
Okay, interesting.
The end of the song, when Tupac is just going off on people, no one was exempt from a fuck you. If you on the East Coast, you got that you, which is crazy because Pop was born on the East Coast and then moved to Oakland. But I think he might have been from Baltimore. But it was crazy. The rant that he went on, timeless.
So this teased me up for something we were talking about before this episode, because you were talking about Malcolm X and power.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just would love to hear that on the record, because that was a fascinating way to tie into Tupac faking his death. And could it be the government who killed Tupac?
Okay, so I've long suspected that the government had something to do with it, and it's because that you got these two young black men, talented in their craft, but also who have the ear of the people. They're basically like the voice of a generation when it comes to that. Tupac got out of jail, signed a death row, came out with All Eyes on Me, California Love, blows up the charts. It's crazy. And now Death Row gives him strength and inherits his beef. So now you got this record company and this hit artist that are saying, the East Coast, this record company, this artist. And this is one of the biggest artists on the East Coast, if not the biggest artist on the East Coast, who's trying to defend himself against these allegations that he had something to do with this shooting. But at the same time, Biggie had only had one album out. He's still fairly new, but his skills are so impressive and so, just dope as
yeah.
He quickly rises as one of the best MCs in New York, right? But he's also one of the biggest MCs in New York. So now that you got the two heads of coast going against each other and, violence is erupting anytime they're around, I feel like the government saw that, was like, no, we got to shut this down. And it was like in Malcolm X, when Malcolm X and they had marched and protested on the police station, and then the chief came down. He was like, yo, you need to get these people out here for something bad happens. And Malcolm X puts his hands up, and he points this way, and all the Black Panthers and the Muslims walk away, mainly just the Muslims. The Muslims all walk away in a different direction. And the chief, after that scene, as that scene is ending, it was like, that's too much power for one man.
Wow.
One black man. Right. So I feel like they saw what this was doing. They saw the power. And it's almost like, yeah, there's a lot of power, but what if they decided to link up and fight a bigger power or fight a common threat?
Meaning the government.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We got to get this motherfucker out of here.
Yeah.
They always take our leaders. They always kill our leaders. You can say what you want about Malcolm X getting killed by the Muslims, and it might have been, but it also might have been influence. They did it to Malcolm. They did it to Martin. Who's to say they didn't do it to Pop and Biggie?
Machiavelli, Martin, Malcolm. That's what you're saying?
Eminem.
The interesting about that is when we were doing our Illuminati episode, we were talking about how the government will infiltrate pop culture and use their ops to pass along certain propaganda, certain messaging, and get the word out about the way that they want the world to work. Yeah. So anyone who's going against that is a problem, and that problem needs to be erased.
And you know what I'm talking about? I was talking to Eric. Eric's one of our producers of the show. So you talk about how he grew up kind of on West Coast rap, and he remembers when rap was about explaining what was going on in your community. It gave people from the other side of the world or the other side of the country a gaze and an insider view on the disenfranchised, the underserviced, the systemic racism that was going on that side, the police brutality that was going on, and then there was a switch. And now it's not so much about what's going on in the community, it's about how I'm stunting on these out here. I got the baddest car, the baddest over here. You see my crib, I got 14 swimming pools, and I don't know how to swim. And now it's less about spreading the awareness, it's less about mobilizing and fighting for our rights, and it's more about, I'm stunting on y'all punk ass.
Yeah, wow.
And we lose the message. And if you infiltrate hip hop that was spreading the positive message, and you infiltrate it with plants, right? Artists that you put in there and you want to shine, and you giving them all the play and all the airtime and all of that, you get to control the narrative.
Yeah. And then you have younger generations who are like looking up to that capitalist hip hop and being like, oh, of course I want that. I'll name myself Dior. And
yeah.
Interesting.
But it also shifts the mindset as to like what's important.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I want you to treat me right, but I really want this Benz. I want equal employment and equal pay, but I really got to get these Jordans that just come out. Like, what you highlight and what people are hearing repetitively is what they're going to want. So if you stop people from protesting and chanting and start talking about Gucci, Louis, Fendi, all of this type of shit, living in the hills, crazy parties, try cocaine, smoke so much weed, I can't breathe the same, whatever.
Yeah.
You change that tone. And so now what do they want? All the other shit, all the flashy shit.
Yeah.
You take out two of the most prominent people in hip hop at the time, now you ain't got to worry about that because Tupac was very militant. And he was more Malcolm than Martin. He was like, let's mobilize, let's load up, we're going to bomb first, we're going to get thug life across the belly, and if the motherfuckers come up in here, we're going to bomb first, we're going to fire first.
Yeah.
And we need to run up in the courthouse and do the same.
Yeah.
He was very militant like that. So yeah, we got to start with this motherfucker.
Wow.
He might around and get the ears of the people, and they might ask to listen. Can you imagine the insurrection? Can you imagine January 6th back in the 90s and there was all black people? Remember when we did the Million Man March, it was peaceful. We did it, on the grass. It was like, imagine if the Million Man March was an insurrection. The motherfucker ran up in the White House.
Yo.
It would have been crazy.
It would have been crazy.
And somebody like Tupac could have potentially, with enough people signing on and joining the board, could have eventually did it. So could have been a fake death, right? Because they was like, hey, we see what you're doing. This is our fear. We either kill you or you can go away and never be seen again. Now, that's just my conspiracy theory.
It doesn't sound wild.
When you look at all the pieces like that,
yeah,
it doesn't sound wild.
It does not, considering our government does not have our best interests in mind.
At all.
At all?
At all. They're doing
man.
science experiments on St. Louis in the 60s.
Yeah.
No, they ain't got our best interests at heart.
Well, while you were listening to Tupac and his rap, I was listening to Weird Al. Which brings me to one of the greatest white musicians of all time, Elvis Presley. You like that segue?
That was great.
You ever hear Amish Paradise?
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy.
I watched all of Weird Al's videos. I was a big fan.
Yeah?
I never bought any albums because I didn't realize at the time that he was making albums. I thought it was just singles that he was doing. I had no idea until I was later that he was making whole parody albums.
Oh, yeah. And
you had albums? Did you have the albums?
Man, first concert I ever saw was Weird Al.
Shut the up. Are you serious?
Fox Theater in St. Louis.
Yeah. That's why I saw Immature.
Oh, wow. You must have been there Friday. I was there Saturday.
I can't believe I was listening to these 13 and 12-year-olds sing about love, and I was like, man, they get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, that's so funny. I'll never forget. Weird Al came out. There was a brief intermission, and he came out in the fat suit for Bad for Michael Jackson, who we'll talk about in a little bit. And he came out in fat, and he walked right past me, and I tried to touch him. I was like, just want to test Weird Al. Yeah.
The hem of his garment.
And then I was working on a late night TV show, and I met him. And I went up to him I had my mom mail me one of his CDs because I knew he was coming on the show. And I walk over and I was like, go to the dressing room. You're not supposed to do anything I was doing.
No,
but,
not at all.
Yeah, but I was like, hey, Al. And he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, can I come in? And he was like, okay. And then I was like, you're my first concert. I have all of your albums. This is unprofessional, but would you please take a picture and sign this? And he goes, okay. And then he did all of that. I have a picture with him. It's amazing. And then he went out and put his legs over his head and got a standing ovation by the crowd. That dude is a legend, man. I love that. You want to talk about who would get me to storm the Capitol? Weird Al. Weird Al. Weird Al. If he did a parody of what would it be called? Something with Storm. Riders on the Storm. Yeah. And it was Riders on the Storm the Capitol.
What if y'all stormed the Capitol, but everybody had to do their own different songs? So everybody's doing a different song. Some people are doing a fat, some people doing Amish Paradise. Everybody has to do a different song. And you got to be in full costume.
Yes, you have to.
Otherwise, you're not associated with this. If you're not in costume, it doesn't count. So everybody's in
you got those weird suit. Deep cut dudes who are doing something from that song, The Night Santa Went Crazy. And only the real ones know,
That was a flex. Mike just tried to on us. I'm not just a play fan. I know the B cuts. I know the deep cuts. That is such a weird flex, man. But I love that for you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
So Elvis Presley, also possibly faked his death, and this is one of those ones that there seems to be enough evidence and enough sightings that would like lend itself towards him actually faking his death.
First of all, this one was way more complex than I thought to. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one, but like this one had levels, and I guess the Tupac one did too. I guess because I grew up knowing all of this, and like it's just a combination of like information I've just stored. It didn't seem that much, but that was actually complex. But this, I didn't know a lot of this.
So there's new developments that just came out about the Elvis death. But first, I'll just give a little backstory before we get into that. Massive artist.
Yeah.
Ran into some drug problems, ran into some weight problems. We all know about his famous delicious sandwich. What is it? Peanut butter, jelly, and bacon?
Peanut butter.
No, peanut butter, banana, and bacon.
Yeah.
A phenomenal sandwich. Man, IHOP should make... Anyway, so he supposedly had a drug OD, had a heart attack, sitting on the toilet, fell over. Sounds like something that might happen to you. Not the heart attack part, but sitting on the toilet.
I am on the toilet a lot, man.
What if you were to think lifetime wise? How much time would you spend on the toilet? Total?
Let's say I've been alive for 40,000 hours.
Okay,
I probably spent like 37,000 hours on the toilet. No exaggeration. Like
here.
Not that long.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it here. Yeah.
And you've been here.
I've taken phantom ones here.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about like as soon as it hit the water, flush it real quick. Because I can't let that. I typically don't bring the spray here, so I forget about my spray. So I can't let y'all go out like that.
That's a nice move.
Yeah, man.
Dang, I'm gonna do that. Also, bottoms up. Knew we'd get there.
I don't have anything.
Fun drinking game. Every time you talk about Dookie, you make me drink.
You brought it up this time. You baited me. This was entrapment.
So Elvis supposedly dies on the crapper. But a lot of people are like, I don't think so, for a couple reasons. One is his death certificate says he was only 170 pounds, not 250. But also, if you're famous, like I feel like you're going to want to have a little sway on that death certificate. You know what I mean? Like, give me a fancy blood type.
You're dead, and you just slide the autopsy guy, the 50, be like, hey.
Come on. You know what it is.
Take 50 off of that weight.
I'm going out.
Yeah. I can see that.
Make
I can
my
see
eyes hazel. I don't want brown. You know. And then also, how if you're 250, like how do you have a casket that big that quickly? But I don't know. Like caskets, we can find one that size.
Yeah, and when you're rich, you also have access to things that the general public doesn't have access to.
100%.
Yeah.
But here's the twist. New development. Jesse Garon Presley, Elvis's twin, who supposedly died at birth, but didn't.
Allegedly.
So there is a man in a mental hospital claiming to be Elvis, going by the name Jesse Garon, being like, I'm Elvis. And the doctors are finally like, all right, man, go get a DNA test. If you're so Elvis, let's make sure that you're really Elvis as you claim. Dude gets a DNA test, exact match for Elvis. Gets that DNA test, exact match for Elvis's parents.
Allegedly.
So the theory goes, which I don't think is a theory, I think it's actual fact, Jesse Garon is Elvis. That 170 pounds in the coffin,
that's the real Jesse.
Is the real Jesse.
And then Elvis assumed the life
of Jesse.
But okay, first of all.
I know.
Yeah, first of all, you didn't take my mind out to dinner before you it. And I feel a type of way about that. The mind for me with that is, did Jesse die and Elvis saw this as a way for him to escape the fame? And if that was the case, then how did he end up in the mental institution? Like, did he end up there because he wanted to be there to escape everyone and just hide out? And then at some point he was just like, y'all really need to know I'm that dude.
Right, because like I keep saying I'm this, and you're thinking I'm crazy. But what I'm really doing is trying to spit the truth.
Right.
I hear you.
But why the mental institution? I don't know. Like that one seems a stretch. It's still plausible.
But the DNA.
The DNA. Now the DNA part I can't refute. That's
DNA does not lie.
It doesn't lie.
Like look at like law.
Yeah.
Law and Order SVU. They're always looking at cum. And it's because there's DNA in there and the DNA does not lie. Like so imagine you're Elvis.
Yeah.
Okay? You are addicted to drugs. you can't go outside because of the fame. People are fainting in the stands.
You didn't gain some weight too.
You
so
gain some weight.
Outside.
You're trying to your outside and your inside are feeling ugly maybe. All right, I'm just going to project it because that's what happened when I used to, when I gained 50 pounds. Shout out Weight Watchers. I know there's different ways to do it, but Team Blue, that was the move for me. Team Blue. Weight Watchers, you can eat as much popcorn as you want. It was awesome. And so, like, you've got this dude who is like trying to escape fame, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, dang, I miss it. Why did I do this? I want it back. Like, what if you're in debt? What if you are like, I still got the juice? Like, it's time for me to like have my second coming, as it were, and just like be like, Elvis is back, baby. And then they're like, you're insane. Straitjacket.
Yeah.
I
would feel like if his twin brother died and he just put him in the casket instead of him, that would explain the weight difference significantly. But I would also lean toward the darker side, but like, what if Elvis killed his twin? Because it's like, nah, for real, hear me out, right? Like, rich people are not used to hearing no. Rich, famous people don't get told no. So he was like, hey, man, I need you to pretend to be me for a little bit. We're twins. He was like, I'm not gonna pretend to be your fat. He was like, hold on, bitch, I'm still matter of fact, bow, kills him. Now he has the out, right? And he can just take his brother's place and live a crazy life. But here's the thing, you still look like Elvis. And no, there's not any other record of Elvis' twin ever being around. He's been in none of the movies. They don't really make mention of him of any of the movies. So it's like, how did this brother go under the radar for so long?
Because the internet wasn't around yet. It was like a piece of paper. That's how people did things. It was like one piece of paper. And so if you get that piece of paper, you can light it on fire and then you're a ghost.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. If Elvis Presley is your twin brother, it's no way you're not getting off of that. You go into a bar, see a hot girl, like, oh my God, you look just like Elvis. That's my twin brother. Oh my God, I didn't even know he had a twin. Yeah, we were born this day, that. Oh my God, could I meet him? Yeah, we'll see. Like, people would have memories of interactions with this guy, I feel like.
But what if Jesse was uglier?
I thought you said they were identical. Were they fraternal?
Well, look, this is like...
I'm going to poke the holes because I want to know. I want to ask the questions because I want to know. So, like, first of all, did you guys know that Elvis had a twin? Like, is that something that was just general knowledge? I'm not a big Elvis fan. I feel like he stole a lot of culture from people, but I will admit...
people?
You're from St. Louis. Who did Elvis steal from?
Yeah.
Who did he steal from?
Who?
There's a statue erected to this man in St. Louis in the Delmore Loop. Who did he steal from?
It might be Chuck Berry.
It might be Chuck Berry. It might be the Black Southern Church. Now, the churches, he went to these Southern churches. He was a member of them. So him imitating what he saw there, I had no problem with that. That was his true life. But you stole Chuck Berry whole style. This right here, this is Chuck. This is all Chuck. So I'm going to this with an open mind. I left my bias at the door, but I feel away. But again, in the movies, we never heard anything about the twin brothers. So that's where that's why I would be held up with this conspiracy theory.
I just don't know how you explain DNA. Like we can poke as many holes as possible.
Yeah.
It's a hard hole to poke.
That is very true. That is very true. Especially if it was the mom and the dad have been verified through the DNA. If it was just the dad, it'd be like, oh, well, his daddy was
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Elvis' daddy. He'd go to Sears, he'd get some pictures done. Somebody was in there and be like, here's your pictures, Mr. Presley. He's like, yeah, I'm Elvis' daddy. He's like, oh, okay, let's go. That could be, but if it's both parents, I don't know how to explain that one.
I don't either.
I can't get around that one.
So, to me, Jesse is Elvis.
Okay.
And Elvis is Jesse. And Elvis is still alive as Jesse. To me.
I don't know. I don't know if somebody that was as famous as Elvis was.
Explain the sightings. Explain the Elvis sightings throughout before he was put in a mental institute.
Man, listen, with enough time and makeup, I could look like you. Okay? I could look like you with the right makeup and the right lighting at the right distance. They'd be like, damn, Mike Glazer was in the booty club throwing $50,000, man. That shit was crazy. And it was me the whole time.
Yes.
There are Elvis impersonators. There are people that are just big fans. There are people that are obsessed and they want to look like. It was the one chick that paid all that money to look like Angelina Jolie. Paid millions to look like Angelina Jolie. And I know this is current times versus back then, but like there are people that would get their hair cut just like Elvis, walk around with some that Elvis might wear on his day. I mean, that's how I would explain the sightings.
Okay. But you would not, let me go backwards then.
Mm-hmm.
Tupac sighting, you would believe, but you wouldn't believe an Elvis sighting? Or are you saying that across the board, a sighting
I'm saying that across the board,
okay.
even with the Tupac sightings. Like, because we've never heard.
Because I could dress like Tupac.
And
walk.
No.
I know.
No, I wouldn't recommend.
I just wanted to do the bit.
I wouldn't recommend you doing that one.
But we won't do that.
That would require blackface.
The guy who doesn't realize it as a character. Yeah.
But what if you didn't? What if you just put on the prosthetics and didn't put on any makeup and it's just the prosthetics of a white Tupac news ring and everything?
Hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. I'm like, I'm not doing it. It's actually okay.
Sightings always are weird to like go off of because the human mind is not reliable. We've seen this in multiple court cases. Like we've seen it in shows. The defense attorney is standing up and he's asking the person, you know, all of these questions with Gordon that day, and then they turn around, they take their tie off, and like, what color tie did I have on?
Yeah.
And they get that wrong. You know what I mean? So like we see My Cousin Vinny. It did it in My Cousin Vinny.
Amazing example.
An amazing example, great movie.
Yeah.
But I when it just comes to witness testimony and also like memory, like it's just kind of hard to go just off of sightings. The DNA one, I have nothing for.
But somebody like a black helicopter landing in Graceland and someone sees Elvis come out, you're like, no. The fact that Elvis was in Home Alone supposedly.
Okay, yeah. Let's explore that one, right? Because they said that he was in Home Alone. And they gave a nod to the fact that Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin sang that Elvis Christmas song.
Yep.
Right?
And Elvis was in the background as one of the extras in one of the scenes. Like the airport scene with the mom.
Yeah.
So, you know, here's the thing. Whether true or not, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Lot of fun.
Absolutely.
To be like the only thing that is like true is Elvis is now his twin, and he couldn't resist being in the background of Home Alone.
He read that script, was like, hey, baby. Also Johnny Bravo shit. Hey, baby, I want to do that.
Wait, I want to do one now.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. Oh.
Maybe roll it a little bit faster. Hey, baby.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, that's a little better.
Oh. Hey, let me get a hound dog.
Yeah, you sound more like Johnny Bravo.
You do it.
Nah. I sound too good.
I give him a huh, and I give him a huh. Ha.
Yeah, that's it. You nailed it, man. You nailed it. The black helicopter theory was crazy too, because it's like black helicopter lands. Wait, remind me of this one again. The helicopter lands
at Graceland, and it was like, oh man, like, you know, he forgot his wallet or something. Had to go back for it after faking his death.
Right.
Had to run in, get one more sandwich, fly back out. Whatever it was, people thought that they saw him landing at his home.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like if somebody was going to stage their death, they would be a lot more stiff than have a helicopter come and land on the property where they were trying to escape.
You know what? I agree with you, because that's an assistant's job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you go back and get the wallet. Just meet me at, you know. But they said that he went to the airport to catch a flight, right? And he used one of his aliases.
Yeah. So he used the alias John Burroughs at the airport. Hey, my name is John Burroughs.
Hey, baby.
Hey, baby. My name is John Burroughs. And they're like, I think that's Elvis. Hey.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The Elvis one is interesting. It has a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, it's you know, I don't even think it would make it into our conversation if it wasn't for the twin and the DNA.
Yeah.
Like otherwise it would kind of be, you know, nonsense, and it's like, yeah, dude died on the toilet.
Yeah.
But now with this new evidence being produced, it's interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah.
So my hope is that we'll get some interviews with Elvis twin as Elvis, who is Elvis, not his twin, but he's actually his twin, who is Elvis. I'd love to get some interviews with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because they I read something about they spelled his name wrong on the headstone. They spelled it with 2 A's. And Elvis was known for spelling his middle name with 1 A. And it has 1 A on his birth certificate, too.
Oh, he's Aaron with 1 A.
Yeah, Aaron with 1 A. But on his tombstone, they have it with 2 A's. And so that was another point of, I don't know, detail.
Like a wink to like, it's not really me.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Aaron.
Or if I'm the dude doing the tombstones, I'm like, oh, he must have faked his death. Like, oh, dude, I think he faked his death.
What if the dude on the tombstone that was doing the tombstone was like, I'm not doing it over.
Yeah.
Like, what if he has a friend named Aaron, he just spelled Elvis' middle name just like he spells his friend name? Like, I'm not doing this over.
Well,
man.
if it was a rush job, right? They're finding a tombstone or a casket that's way too big. They already had Aaron punched in, and they were like, "Oh, we can fit an Elvis and a Presley around that."
Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, I would do it.
It's all possible.
Yeah, man, it's all possible.
All right.
If you need it super fast.
So far, Tupac is still alive. Elvis is still alive.
I think Tupac is dead. I think the government took care of him real quick. But, there have been sightings.
Right.
There is speculation. Elvis could be alive in a mental institution fighting for his life.
What about MJ?
Crack open the beer, guys. This is gonna be a bumpy ride. This one's bad.
Or it's fat.
Michael Jackson is one of those conspiracy theories that always comes up in conversation, whether you're talking about him or not. It always comes up because there's just so much mystery and cloud around how fast this happens. He was preparing for a tour. The This Is It tour, he's performing. We're seeing footage of the practices. He's looking healthy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, dead. Just right out of the gate, let's talk about a couple things that are surrounding Michael Jackson's death. A couple weird things. First of all, nobody would sign the death certificate.
No coroner, no doctor, no nothing?
No doctor would sign it.
Sketch.
It's kind of sketch.
And he has a couple reasons that it might be advantageous for him to
There
fake
were a
his
couple reasons, if you will. First of all, Michael Jackson, one of the greatest entertainers, if not the greatest entertainer to ever live. Shout out to Michael Jackson.
100%.
Okay?
100%.
Kid was the youngest in a group of his 4 brothers, with his 4 other brothers, and stole the spotlight. There's a lot of pressure on the kid, man. Didn't appreciate his nose and like the big features and all of that type. Wanted the lighter skin and a lighter voice, smaller nose. It was a lot. He was going through a lot. His best friend was a rat. Okay.
Yeah.
Give this man a little grace. All right. You probably had a friend that was a human when you were growing up. Who did Michael have? Ben, man.
Yeah.
Feeding him crackers and cheese and the kid was going through a lot.
He went through a lot.
He went through a lot.
Man, maybe that's why my mom had a rat named Zoe.
Did she really?
Yeah. Yeah, when we moved out of the house and she had empty nest syndrome and she got a rat named Zoe, kept it in a cage next to the microwave. And I said, you can't keep a rat next to a microwave. Died like a year later from unknown causes. But I think the microwave had something to do with it.
I mean, why she would keep a rat in the kitchen is a thing of its own.
Even better point. Yeah. Why was it in the kitchen? Yeah. She used to keep it in her hoodie pocket and walk around the house with it in there.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it. Couple speculations that are surrounding the Jackson death. In this section, we're going to talk about if it is a conspiracy. We're going to talk about why he would potentially want to fake his death. And then we're going to talk about some of the speculations and facts that are information we found during this research. First of all, we talked about the fact that it wasn't an open casket. And anytime somebody's super famous, uber famous like Michael Jackson has a closed casket, that's going to be suspicious because it's like, who's really in this casket then?
We want to see your face.
We got to see. That's the way we say
closure.
Goodbye. Yes.
I need closure.
Yes.
Conspiracy rule number 1, closed casket conspiracy theory.
Automatically happening like that. And before we go any further, just based on the 3 people that we talked about thus far, obviously we're in the third one. Who do you believe is actually dead and who do you believe could have faked their death? We talked about Tupac, we talked about Elvis, and now we're talking about Michael Jackson. Put it in the comments. Let us know. Timestamp it. Let us know if we're on the right track. So no open casket, all right? Jackson family had a closed casket memorial service because the king of pop had looked so bad when he died. I heard that he had the permanent makeup already added to him.
Okay.
But that I also heard that like his ribs were cracked from them trying to resuscitate him.
Sure.
So, maybe that. I feel like I saw some pictures of like his legs and they looked really bruised. And I don't know if that was from the rehearsal from the tour or he just like had those spots on his leg. But I remember seeing some pictures years ago and it just looked really bad. Secondly, they said that TMZ got the scoop too soon. Now, mind you, TMZ be knowing a lot of shit.
Sometimes they break news.
Yeah, they do it a lot because if they get word, like if it's Michael Jackson and people are probably going by his house every day on those tour buses, it's not unlikely that somebody from TMZ would be waited outside his house, right? So they see the van come in or the ambulance come in, they follow the ambulance to the UCLA hospital and they're just floating through. I mean, it's not weird that they would have the story that early.
Agree.
But that was one of the things they said that TMZ responded by saying they got spies everywhere, but they actually pronounced him dead before he was actually even dead.
Yeah. I mean, if I was TMZ though, I would do the same thing. Like I would just go to the edge and then retract and be like, we got some misinformation. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no consequence for being wrong when you throw it as far as you can. Like I respect TMZ for that because they say the wildest stuff. And if it's wrong, they just give it a whoopsie daisy and then move on with their life.
And that voice is hard to like really take seriously when you're given some of the information. Oh, man, looks like we got Michael Jackson going to the hospital. What's going on? He's dead. It's like, oh. So it's almost hard to take it seriously, but then it's like, if they add a whoops to it, he was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Whoops, he's not dead yet, folks, but stay tuned because he might be in an hour. I hate that voice. Because they were like, y'all want to be taken seriously. Why the do you have this voice of like a gopher?
Yeah.
Like the gopher from Caddyshack. Like I imagine him talking like that. Today's show, we got Michael Jackson back from the dead. I hate it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Other thing I talked about, no doctor signature on the coroner's report. All right. Neither Conrad Murray or the coroner, anyone from the coroner's office, any of those physicians felt the need to sign this death certificate. And that makes me wonder, like, no one wanted to take responsibility for saying they did the autopsy or they didn't want to take responsibility for lying and said he was dead.
100%. 100%. Well, let's get into Dr. Conrad Murray at that point because that dude, I think, unalived Michael Jackson.
Okay, so a lot of people say that, but I want to hear your stance on it. Let's jump into this. Let's get into it.
Look, man, I don't know that I'd be able to say no to the king of pop. Yeah. Even if I knew it was against his best interest. I can warn him. I can say, let's go. I think Dr. Conrad Murray got Michael Jackson hooked on pills, was siphoning as much money as he could, stuffing his own pockets. Things got out of control. Michael Jackson OD'd. Conrad tried to save him, and then Conrad was found guilty. That's how I feel.
When you put it like that, it sounds very plausible.
It's a tale as old as time.
It really is. It really is. Because they definitely said that they saw how much money he was taking from Michael and for that long a time. It's like, yeah, you was definitely writing some scripts under the table.
Yeah.
And they said Michael was it what kind of medicine was it? It was something to help him sleep, but it was like a high dosage of it. Something that you would definitely get hooked on.
Yeah, propofol, man.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, man. I'm not rich enough to know all of those drugs.
You don't prop?
Nah, man, I Tylenol.
And then Conrad did all that and got charged with homicide.
Which is
the
crazy.
LA County said homicide, not like natural causes, like like he was unalived.
Right.
Homicide. Conrad went to jail.
Yeah. How do they write the cause of death but don't sign the death certificate?
It's a very good question. Especially if there's no body because he faked his death. Yeah. It gets tricky. Don't ask too much on this.
How much money you think they had to pay Conrad to sit down for 4 years, though?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was like, hold on, no. I'm going to be honest with you. I gave him the drugs, but half of them were placebo. They were sugar drugs, baby. He didn't do all of that. They were like, we're going to give you $10 million. You got to knock down this 4.
Yeah.
You got to knock down 4 years, but you're going to get $10 million out. Could you go to jail for $10 million?
For 4 years?
Yeah.
What kind of jail? Like a Rikers? No.
I mean, he's a doctor, so I imagine he's probably up at pitches up there by Six Flags.
I could do 4 years.
Yeah, for 10
I really
million?
do think I could.
I think I would need a little bit more than 10 million. I think for 4 years sitting down, I probably got to get paid five a year.
Really?
Yeah, because like each year I got to think about, man, all right, I'm almost doubling this. Because a full year in jail, eating what they eat. I worked in a jail, and there were days I was like, I ain't got it in me today. The energy, the energy is just different in there. It's heavy. That peanut butter and jelly comes in like ketchup packages. The bread, the crust, it cuts the roof of your mouth.
The bread does?
Yeah, man. It's made with grape nuts.
Whew.
Yeah, the crust of that bread is made with grape nuts and Captain Crunch.
What I've learned throughout this show,
Mm-hmm.
you have been a teacher.
All right. Yep.
You have been a comic.
Yep.
You have worked at a jail.
Yep. I was a teacher in a jail.
You were a teacher in a jail.
Yep.
What other jobs have you had in your life?
When I was a junior in college, I had 5 jobs. I worked at Banana Republic and Journeys on the weekend. I did Saturdays and Sundays. I would start at Banana Republic, and then I would go to Journeys to finish it out. Through the week, I worked at, I was a substitute teacher, so I worked through the days as a permanent sub as a 7th grade teacher. And then on evenings, I worked at this, it was a real estate company. So I would have to go, it was my job to go through and put the signs in people's yards and remove the old signs, come through and update the spreadsheet of which ones I did and which ones I didn't do. And then I worked at having all of those jobs. I still have a job on campus. It was one of those jobs. So I worked at the gym there. But I only worked at the gym like for 2 hours on Mondays and 2 hours on Fridays. Everything else was when I was a teacher and I only worked at the real estate company 2 days a week. I did that Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Holy cow, man.
And I was taking 16 credit hours.
An unbelievable feat.
Yeah.
Truly unbelievable feat.
If
anyone needed like a clone or a body double, yeah, it'd be you.
Listen. If I fake my death, it's gonna be me pretending to do it because I like working.
Yeah.
I like working. I'm gonna play all the characters. I'm gonna be the doctor. I'm gonna be the
yeah.
Cop,
you were Eddie Murphy in real life.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, man. I just worked a lot, man. I wanted a certain level of quality of life when I was in school, and I just worked to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
That Banana Republic and that Journeys, that wasn't paying
shit.
Yeah, that just paid like the phone bill. But I got the discount from both places. So I stayed fly in the clothes section and I stayed fly on the shoe section.
Nice.
Yeah, man. That's why I was doing it.
I worked at Express for men.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sexy guy.
Sexy guy. No, well, no, not at that time. But what I would do is I would...
Wait. We're not going to breeze past the realization how real you kept it in that moment. Sexy guy. Yeah, sexy guy. Well, no, not really.
Not
I remember there were pictures.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And anyway, the receipts are out there and people are going to be like, no, thank you. Your Jewish afro looks like a mushroom. I look like Toad.
I've never seen somebody walking back that fast.
Yeah.
And that honestly, you just like, well.
I was a goofy boy.
Okay. You worked at Express for men and where else?
But what we would do is I would pocket the money. Somebody would be like, I want this, this, and this. And I'd be like, bet. And then I would go throw it in the trash. And then I'd take the trash out.
Yeah.
And then they'd get it out of the trash and give me cash. Or I would trade with the other stores in the mall and they'd be like, I want this collared shirt.
Yeah,
I'm going out
I've heard
clubbing,
of them doing that.
Right, doing that. And I'm like, okay, well then I want this video game.
Yeah.
And then we would trash swap.
What mall?
Chesterfield.
Okay, I worked at Mills Mall when I worked at Banana Republic.
That was a beautiful mall.
It was. It was a not a discount mall, but what do they call those stores? Outlet mall. So yeah, it was a good time, man.
Yeah, man. Okay.
I worked at White Castles too.
What the?
I worked at White Castles from 16 to 19.
Flipping? Register.
No. You have to. You work everything like Castles. So you might be registered, part of your shift. Then you go to grill, and then you might be on a fryer. You got to go out and clean the lobby. But yeah, at one point I was making good money at White Castle.
Dang.
So Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Dead or alive? There have been multiple sightings of Michael, despite all the speculation and and everything going around him. I don't really, again, buy into the sightings as much. There were some sightings of him at a BET award that said it was a look-like spotted behind Joe Jackson. That could have been one of his 38 brothers. Some conspiracy theories allege
Wait. You make me think how like all the sightings of like Tupac and Michael Jackson are all from white dudes. Because they just
like they all look alike. That's a good part. We need to know who made the claim for the sightings, because if it was a white guy, that might have been racism, not a lure.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There have been a lot of sightings of Michael. They said that again at the award shows. Some people said they saw him shopping at a luxury store. Somebody said
back of his daughter's car.
Yeah, okay. So that was like some 2016 post that, his daughter had made the video in her car, and somebody was like, "Oh, they saw a shadowy figure." Could have been clothes, could have been anything.
Could have been Michael Jackson in the back seat. He's like,
I feel like we would have seen more of his face.
Yeah.
Like
or he's like going like this.
Yeah, unless he was doing this. Unless he was doing the Shimon hat like face. Like I don't know. There was also another thing where he supposedly spotted yachting with his son. I mean, all of these things, like when it comes to public eye and accurate detail of what they saw, who they saw, I just don't buy too much into it, man. It's hard to take that.
I hear you
at face value.
But if he's still alive, he's gonna be seen. He can't be a shut-in like Howard Hughes. Like, okay, I forgot to mention during the Elvis Presley part that one of the reasons he might have faked his death is because he was in trouble with the mafia. And that is well known that he was in trouble with the mafia. And supposedly Michael Jackson was like $500 million in debt. Like that is
Which is
lot
a
of debt.
crazy
That's
number for
crazy
Michael, man. Like, come on. Michael owned the Beatles masters. He owned their masters,
still
bro.
In debt. He's still in debt. I don't know how. Look, it's hard for my tiny brain to comprehend $500 million at all. But in debt, I don't.
That's a lot. Yeah, I would myself every morning if I woke up owing the government that much money.
Yeah,
I would possibly fake my death if I owed $500 million.
I would definitely try propofol.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be tough. I will never have begrudge any choices Michael Jackson. Well, there's one. He might have faked his death because of that child stuff.
Yeah, that's a heavy stare down right there.
Have you seen the doc?
Yeah, I actually did. Yeah, I did see the doc. Yeah. That was the Neverland Ranch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a heavy watch. Especially somebody like I grew up on him as a child, like watching him, imitating him.
Say it a different way.
You're right. I grew up watching his performances and listening to his music as a child.
I didn't grow up on him as a child.
Yeah, man. So like it was very heavy to watch and listen to, man. So that would be a reason, valid reason for him to try to
absolutely
fake his death.
Absolutely. Or have somebody like the CIA whisper in his ear, like, yo, like you got to go out on top, man. Like we've got you like two rights on this. Like what if we just your ear?
That's crazy.
And we say like, if you disappear, no more debt. Your legacy lives on. You're the goat of goats of goats. Yeah. So let's make sure you stay that way. Like you owe it to your public. Be gone with you.
It's like we've been watching the rehearsals for the tour.
Yeah.
It's not it. Go out when you're on top.
Exactly. It's like that one dude, Frankie Valli. You seen those videos of him?
Yeah.
Like, God bless him for being alive. And they walk him out and he's like,
yeah, I don't know why they still got him doing. I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's sad. You don't want to see it. And so, like, I do think that possibly Dr. Conrad, let's just speculate that he took the fall for 4 years. CIA was like, you take the fall. We got you to rights too. Like, you have been drugging this. Like the superstar of superstars up. Yeah. We know what's going to happen. You're going to take the fall, fake his death, get out of these allegations with all of these children, and then your legacy gets to live on and people will like still rock with you. 99% of people.
Yeah.
Like the whole CIA idea comes from a real thing called Operation Sedgwick. Operation Sedgwick. They're trying to suppress me right now, man. Operation Sedgwick during the Reagan administration, an operation where the government was trying to control black people through music, allegedly. So you can tie this to Tupac because it's tied to Tupac. You can tie this to Michael Jackson because it's tied to Michael Jackson. One of the last calls Michael Jackson got was letting him know that he is being hunted. And Paris, his daughter, said to Rolling Stone that she knew that shadowy figures were after him. And she was like, it might be the Illuminati. We just don't know. Tupac's a part of it. Michael Jackson's a part of it.
Allegedly.
Who knows who else is a part of it?
Oh, this might need to be its own episode.
Let's do that.
Okay, we're going to put a pin in that because we got to come back to that. That was damn good. Can you imagine taking a fall for something like that, getting this amount of money, and then you can never tell anybody about it because you're going to be watched. If somebody gives you $10 to $20 million, you're going to be watched every day for the rest of your life. Conversations probably getting listened to, phone tap, wires in your house, like, because they got to protect the investment. And that's if they trust you. Sometimes they still just kill you. They promise you the 20 million, 10 million, whatever, still kill you when you get out.
100%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Woo, man.
So there are reasons for Michael Jackson to fake.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely think so. As far as out of all the three of them that we talked about, I feel like Jackson is the one that's most capable of staying low because he was already kind of like a recluse.
Yeah.
Like he was already doing some wild anyway, hanging the kids over the balcony and all that. It's like,
oh, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy as hell, man. So I feel like he's the most likely to like fall off somewhere. But it's like, where you gonna go and not be recognized? But he had already showed us that like he ain't scared to get some surgery. Like he
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? Out of the three we talked about, who is the most likely you feel to actually fake their death? And as far as all three that we mentioned, do you think that they're capable of it? Who would do it the best? Who probably did it? Who do you think is still alive, if anyone? Let us know. Put it in them young comments.
And there's people we haven't touched on. So if you're like, yo, you forgot about blank, drop that in the comments too.
Yeah, it is a lot of people that we have not touched on it, and that might come at a later day, but we would love to hear what you think. And also, do you think the government could have anything to do with encouraging people to like, hey, listen, we got you dead to right, so you might want to go ahead and fall off the face of the earth, or you know what I mean? Like, I think it's possible. I think especially if you got ties to the Illuminati, that might be one of the privileges. It's like, hey, before we'll let you know so you can just get out of town and fake your...
Dude, can I tell you something else about my girlfriend? It's driving me nuts right now. I love her so much, but she's such a rule follower. She puts a pea-size amount of toothpaste on the toothbrush because on the back it says use a pea-size amount. Like, I'm all over that thing. I'm slathering the brush, you know, like really trying to make it dynamic. And she's like, pea-size. And I'm like, and she's like, it's
that's
what it says.
Bothers you?
Because that's what...
I would just say, if that's what bothers you about your girlfriend, then you guys have nothing to worry about.
No, we're great. I love her so much.
Yeah. My wife does meth in bed. So you see the difference there? Yeah. No, I can tell you a story. So I didn't know how to bring this up to my wife. She like, I have a membership at this male grooming spa, Helmer and Nail. And I usually go there and go get my toes and my nails done. But I've been talking about like, yo, why don't you come on toenails for me? You know, it's been a minute since I had a plan to go there. And so yesterday she did it, right? She cut my toenails. She was getting ready to go. I was like, yo, you got time to do this? She was like, yeah, I got time. Cuts my toenails, leaves the clippings on the bed. I didn't see it till a little bit later because I was laying down. I got up. I was like, this trifling this good for nothing heifer just left this here. Like, I don't want to deal with it, which is why I go to other people to do it. And if you agree to do it, then you agree to clean up. I shouldn't ever have to touch my own toenails, bitch. That's trifling. Don't make me have to do that. But how do I bring that up? And she was doing something for me. But it's like, you ain't complete the job, shawty.
Yeah.
If I got to come behind you, now you're my daughter. Now you're the same as her. I tell her to do something. I know she's going to do 3/4 of it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to clean up after her.
Also, another Sopranos note, season 2, episode 8. This woman in Italy is getting her toenails clipped, and they burn them because if you get someone's toenails, you can put a curse on them.
Oh.
So double down and make sure she clears up those toenails.
I'm glad I threw them away myself now because I don't trust my wife. She be using tarot cards.
Does she?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a second podcast called Our Wives.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not married yet, but I will be.
Tangencies. Like we show you guys the full version of what this episode was. The full 3-hour runtime because you guys get an hour. You have no idea.
Yeah, the uncut version is just us loving our spouses.
And judging them. Yeah.
Also, let us know. pea-sized amount of toothpaste? Or you're gonna cover that brush, baby. You gotta cover that brush.
You circled the block for that. Spit the block. Let her live her life, man. It's a regulation. She's saving so much money on toothpaste per year if it wasn't for you. If you were doing pea-size, you guys would not have to buy toothpaste every month and a half. You would have it for 3 months.
I do buy the double packs of toothpaste.
Yeah, that would last you a year if you were doing it correctly. That's what she's trying to let you know, baby. Get on board, baby. Get on board. I end up missing. I remember this guy at White Castles I worked with. I forgot his name, but he was like, he was a gay black guy, but he was like also street. He would always tell people, I told them, stop playing me. You gonna get found stanking. And I thought it was so hilarious because he meant it. And he was like, he had hands. He was about that life, but he just said it's so funny. You gonna get found stanking. And it was great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Man. I can imagine a government official tell you that. You can either do it yourself or you get found stinking. I love it. I love it.
Tahir, man, where can people find you?
All over, baby. I'm like the flu. Ain't no vaccine working on you. No, everything I got going on, you can find in the description below, man. Going back on tour. We're going to finish out the year strong. And yeah, man, Instagram is just the best place to catch all of that outside of the link tree. It's all up there, babies.
Your IG is funny as heck, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
very funny.
Thank you, man. What about you? Where can people find you at?
On IG.
Planned Parenthood. What?
Yeah, on tour. I'm having a blast on tour. Everyone who's come out so far, thank you. Everyone who is looking at dates, let me know what city you're in. I got a bunch of cities lined up, all in the description. Thanks.
There it is. As always, I'm Tahir Moore.
I'm Mark Glazer.
Yeah, almost dropped it. And it's been another episode of High in the Sky. We'll see you next week, guys. Peace. And if you haven't seen our episode on Illuminati, then you're never going to get considered for membership. Okay, go back and watch that. Get that foundation. Get that basic knowledge. Come back, rewatch this. Share it, like it, post it to your page, give it to a friend, and comment, because you know we need the comments. We like to read those. But first, start with that Illuminati episode.
Yeah, be a membership to this group.
Yeah, subscribe, baby.